Yeah, I'm not gonna buy those.
No?
I'm not prepared, but I'm not stupid. Okay.
I have photos of the neighbor's rat.
That's
That I'll send you.
That's okay. I don't know what I'll do with that. Although I am interested in how they might taste. Okay. So today's lecture, hopefully will be kind of short-ish. The thing we're talking about today, where's like the pens? Does anybody have a?
Yeah, they might be in the
Where? Oh, here we go. So we're going to be talking about life cycle methods today. Okay, so you're actually familiar with some of them, but you don't even know it yet. So React gives us these life cycle methods. Okay? Yeah. And so so the life cycle methods are only available to us on class components. With the advent of hooks, there will be ways to implement most to all lifecycle methods in functional components, but we won't be learning that yet today. We're just going to focus on class components. There's a few different stages a component is in, right? We have a mounting stage. Mounting is when the component is coming onto the screen and so that we can visually see it. Okay? We have an updating phase. Updating is when we're making changes to the component, to its state, to its props, etc. And we have an unmounting phase. Unmounting is when we are taking the component away from being the focus of the screen so that the user no longer sees that component. This will be something we'll really see a lot when we're doing routing. Excuse me. And then I guess there's a last kind of phase here, which is, we'll call it error handling. Error handling is a phase we only end up hitting if some error was thrown that's going to break our app. I don't know if we'll touch that today. Probably not. So there's two main, so the first lifecycle method you actually already know. What do you think it might be? What's the first thing that happens when we hit our class component? What's the very first thing? A lot of us have already removed it from our class component. Constructor, Brandon. So the very first thing that happens is we go through a constructor. Then where do we go? We already know the next one too. Render. A render is another lifecycle method. Right? Render runs in the... so constructor runs how many times? One time when we're mounting, right? Render runs how many times? Render runs quite a bit, right? So render actually runs as part of the mounting stage as well as part of the updating. And I think that's all the ones that we know for now. So there's two that I'm really going to teach today. Just two. There are more lifecycle methods. There's not like tons, but there's 5 or 6. Chances are you won't need a lot of them very often. There's 2 that there's one you'll use all the time. That's going to be the first one we learn, which is going to be called component did mount. Okay, component did mount. This we will also only run one time, every time our component mounts, right? Another one that exists that I'm probably not going to go really into today, but you should be aware that it exists, is component did update. This you won't use as often, but you might sometimes. And then the other one that I really want to go over today is component will unmount. This also runs one time, but right before the component unmounts. Right. Okay, so these are kind of the main life cycle methods. I definitely encourage you to read the docs just to go over the other ones. I also have been reading an article that I will share on the Slack channel, but I don't think it's worth at this stage like teaching a lesson on those other ones. I think the chances of you encountering them anytime soon is pretty small. I think you'll be able to get pretty much everything you need with these. Okay, just knowing that other ones exist and having read them will be like enough to be like, something's not working. I think it's a life cycle thing. Let me go dive a little deeper because I know there's a couple other ones. Right, just for the record, the other ones, let me like look them up. There's get derived state from props. That's like when you're taking in a prop and you want it to become part of your state. Should component update. Get snapshot before update. That one's like you hardly ever use it. And then there's some other ones that are no longer deemed safe. They've been deprecated. That's when I was learning it. They've changed. It used to be like component will unmount. Oh no, component did unmount was one. But it's no longer a thing, so don't use that. Oh yeah, I guess you can also do component did catch if you ever want to get into error handling. Component did catch. If you add component did catch to a component, it becomes a error boundary component. Also, static get derived state from error. But for now, let's just worry about our constructor, our render, our component did mount, and our component will unmount, and see how we can get this to all work together. Okay, so we have our node app here. I'm just going to get it started. npm start. This is going to be great. This is going to solve, probably some of you have already encountered some situations where you wish you had this and you don't yet. And this will hopefully solve those issues. All right. I am gotta close this stuff. Okay. So we've got our React app. What's the first thing I'm gonna do?
Clear.
Yeah, I'm gonna remove the junk that I didn't program, right? So I'm gonna go into my app. Where's my cursor? What's going on here? You see it? Oh, there it is. Thank you. It's like jolting around. Okay, so we'll get rid of all this junk that we're not using. I'm going to get rid of the styling for now, too. Just don't want any of that. I'm just going to make sure everything's honky-dory. Hello, Dory. Okay, great. So it's there. It's a little tiny. Okay. So today let's make a clock. That's going to be the goal. And I want to create a button that toggles whether or not the clock is showing. Okay? So let's do it. Let's create a folder inside of our app that we're going to call components. Maybe you already have one. Right? You don't have to start your project new every time. But I'm going to make a clock.js. Should I make this a class component or a functional component? Danny says class component. How come?
Because we want to keep track of the state of our time.
We want to keep track of state of our time. Why else? Doug? Maybe because we have to render smaller